We will be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, it's episode 74 of 4PlayerAnimecast. It is the 12th of August, right smack dab. Actually nearing at the end of summer, I guess, but we're still sort of in the mid-series, mid-season-ish for anime, so we'll still have a lot to cover as we go along. Of course, I am your host, Spire, and with me are 66% of the regulars. First, Dark.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up? Toast.
Hello.
And Neer is in Canadian hell, yes. But yeah, what have you guys been up to?
You ever seen that show like Freaky Eaters? There was this one episode where I think this person was addicted to maple syrup, and it was a pretty horrific episode. All I could think about is what happened. Is that what happened to Neer?
That's probably pretty close, except with more poverty and maple syrup.
Abigail hit him with a fucking 100% combo and he's dead now.
All right. So Dark, what have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
Kind of the same stuff as usual. I've been keeping up with pretty much everything I said that I was gonna keep up with / watch in the beginning of the season. I don't think I really dropped anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Are you thinking about dropping some series? I feel like there are some premonitions.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's
I mean,
really
this
only
series,
one.
not like series that you literally watch one episode and you're like, not this shit, but like,
Oh, I mean, there's one series that I watched 2.5 episodes of to talk about tonight that I'm pretty sure I'm dropping.
all right.
But as far as that, I watched 1.5 more episodes of Centaur's Life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Centaur no
watched.
Dayami, I guess. That's Japanese
Oh
term
yeah,
for it.
Centaur's Worries or whatever.
Yeah. Everyday woes.
Dude, it's been translated as like 17 different things,
Yeah.
and now I can't stop like not doing the right one.
Yeah. Okay, go.
And then I watched Vatican like 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Vatican Miracle. So
Yeah,
that the full
Miracle
name is
Investigation.
Vatican Miracle Examiner, also known as Vatican
Oh.
Kiseki Chosaka. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I watched that. In slightly kind of anime news, I started watching Ultraman, and that's cool.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Who would win in a fight, Ultraman or Kamen Rider?
Depends on which one. Because, they're alien. Ultramen are aliens, so they're very strong.
so Toast,
So,
what have you been up to these past 2 weeks? All right, thank you very much.
Oh, good shit.
I've been playing PSO2.
Okay, what have you been watching / reading on the anime front?
I've been reading. What's it called? I've been reading Dragon's House Hunting. That's pretty cool. Also been reading. My wife is a former mafia or something. That was also pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there's also a recent one that's been getting translated a lot recently. That was or it stopped and then it started again. But it was like there was like an office lady and then the mafia are coming together, but the mafia are all yandere guys or something like that. It was weird. But yeah, go on.
What? I don't know what that is. What are you talking about?
It's a light novel, or it's a web novel rather. It's like Meshitaki Onna to Mafia.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, but anyways, go on. It was just like a random tangent.
I've also been checking out that Line Webtoon site. They're the reason why I haven't been getting my updated Korean manhwas, and I'm very upset.
All right.
I mean, it's a new site that you're translating, I believe, mostly Korean and I think American. Like
It's
comic
Line, right, or whatever. Like Naver Line.
Webtoons.com. That's what it's called.
What?
It's called webtoons.com /
Webtoons.com.
The reason I'm bringing it up because one of the series I've been following for a while, Gotsu, has been picked up by webtoons, and so the previous fan translations will no longer apply because it's been picked up, and I'm very upset. Because webtoons is
Are they
about
retranslating the entire thing?
they're they're very far behind, and so
Here we go. Hopefully they're just editing the scripts,
yeah,
right? They're
right.
not like
What are you
like yeah. Sometimes that shit kind of goes down the drain. If I yeah,
I mean,
hopefully
shout out to them, but I mean, it's good,
yeah
but they're the reason why I can't get any more Gosu right now.
yeah.
Screw them
That's
until they're caught up to season 2.
understandable. Understandable. Okay, so that's good. Mainly again on the manga anime side, I guess. Or sorry, on the manga side slash webtoon side. And as for me, I've been kind of everywhere. I've been watching a little bit of anime. I do want to catch up to some series, and I always want to watch some other series. You know, taking a bullet for the team here. Although not too many of these series seem like that terrible. Like the ones that are terrible this season seem relatively obvious for the most part. Like this is a trap, and like Koito Uso, like we kind of knew this was going to go down the shitter, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Spire, I've
yeah.
been waiting for your opinion on NTR Trap because
Did I
that's
not
totally
already
within your
say?
strike zone.
Did I not already talk about that? I
Talk
feel
about it
like I
some more.
talked about that. Well, I'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah,
Well, I don't think those were true feelings.
yeah. uh, they're also fetish feeling, hitting closet feelings. But anyways, so I've been watching a little bit of that. I've obviously been on my like web novel stuff. Some projects that I've like have been you know have gotten revitalized recently. The other ones are keeping up well, so on. And oh, a whole bunch of visual novels like came out, these past 2 weeks and like the week before and stuff like that. So I've been pretty much like revving through them. So like, oh fuck, like like 100%ing of Fandas Care, and then I saw like two other visual novels. I mean, it's good, but it's like first world problems pretty much, where it's like, oh god, there's so much stuff I need to go through. And visual novels do take time, like so. But yeah, and the visual novels I'm talking about right now are Princess Evangel W Happiness, which is Fantasy for it. It was the one I'm going through right now is Wagamama High Spec, which I believe is done by Dempasoft or distributed by Dempasoft at least. And then the last one
Is
is
that also?
Dalsania.
I thought it wasn't it. Are you sure it's Nevasoft and a Sekai project? Because
The distributor I think is definitely at least like for the 18 plus stuff. I
Oh,
do think it is Dempasoft.
okay. Because
I don't know who the translator slash localization group is.
it's
Sorry.
probably Sekai project because I see them up
Yeah,
here.
probably. And then yeah, as I said, Dalsenio, which is
Is that when you got Adam Girl? Because I see it on the list.
What? Yeah, Dempasoft does sell Adam Girl. It's actually probably on sale like half the time, but let's not talk about that series. Slash visual novel. Anyways,
I wonder I should sign up for
so
Nevasoft. I wonder if I can get my coupons.
oh yeah. They changed their system. But anyways, I've been
Damn.
going through that. And again, as I said, I've been watching a couple of anime. Some again that I'm sharing, going to talk about with Darker Toast these upcoming reviews. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Toast.
Hi.
We're going to start with you. What series would you like to talk about this episode?
I want to talk. What the hell? No, my picture. I want to talk about. Was it red? Knights and Magic.
Wait, you already talked about that.
We
though.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
We
you
only
did.
covered the basic, like the first 2 episodes.
I mean, Toast. They're not. I mean,
That's
we
not how
only.
What I like to
Go.
bring up is, I've only read the manga because I'm saving the light novel for a rainy day. So, like up to us, it's actually moving really quickly compared to.
You want to give us a quick recap on how Knights of Magic went and how? I guess if it is deviating, is it deviating or is it a straight add up or what's going on?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know because I've only of all the translated chapters, it's moving really quickly, and so By the time I got to episode 3, I've exhausted all the manga chapters. After
Oh,
that,
the
it has been
manga chapters. Okay, I thought you were talking about the light novel
no.
stuff.
After
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like whole new territory for me.
No, 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 no,
So it
no.
was
The
all
manga is very slow, just because manga is also obviously super promotional. If you guys didn't know, like if there's like a light novel original, usually the manga adaptations, anime stuff are all very promotional. Anime is usually only 11, 12 episodes, and manga is usually like if it's like super promotional, it will usually be like anywhere maybe like 12 to 20 chapters, and then it gets kind of like axed or gets kind of shoved down somewhere. That's pretty much how it goes. But anyways, um, you talked about new territory. It's mainly again more kind of. I mean, from what I've read of the novel, and the novel is a bit far off. There are again
Why
like
are you reading past me, you jerk? Now I don't want to hear spoilers from you.
there is like sporadic like action obviously with these things, and like everybody's like there are times where it's like everybody's just bowing down to the genius, like, oh, he can make the best robots, wow, he's such a genius, blah blah blah, he's so humble too, blah blah blah, like all that, right? And then
Knock knock.
but a lot of the a lot of the sort of content of the series comes from him just tinkering with the robots and including in stuff from Earth, like Earth technology, right? Or like using Earth technology as a basis to create these like robots.
Not Earth technology. You can't
What do
say
you
Earth technology because sub arms and crystal strand tissue. That's not something that's made from Earth technology. He hasn't made any rifles or rocket launchers or
No,
anything
no, no, no.
as
I
of
mean,
yet.
I mean, like Earth concepts. Excuse me, concepts and technology. How about
Oh, that's different.
that? All right,
It is
Toast.
mecha
I-
technology, Spire, because we don't. Unfortunately for
No,
you, we do not have currently existing mecha
no,
technology
no, no, no. But
in our
the
world.
reasoning behind his like fiber strength. You've gotten to the fiber strengthening thing, right?
That's episode
Yeah,
3.
Yeah,
he's using knowledge
yeah,
from
because
Earth.
he literally makes it analogous to like the muscle fibers of a human body, right?
No, it
Whatever it
was
Yeah.
is.
analogous to Three Arrows, where it was a
I mean,
proverb where
that's just an
What the
idiom
fuck are
he
you
made.
talking
arrows aren't
about,
just Earth
Toad?
technology. Everyone has arrows.
I mean, the
No,
three
the
arrows thing is
muscle. He's
just a
talking about
tiny
the
thing
crystal
for
tissue.
like a story, yeah. And then the main like analogy that he uses as to why it strengthens. I mean, the three arrows thing is just like a saying slash like story like thing that he uses to like help get people into interested or whatever. But the main idea, the concept he came up with, and he states this in both the anime and obviously in the light novel, is the muscles, right? Like it's supposed to be like that. Like all the muscles work together, and it's supposed to be the mech's supposed to be like a human body, so he uses it. That's literally how it goes, right?
You can't
Like,
say Earth technology because everything can be attributed to Earth technology in that. Like the magic in that series is just
No, that's not what he's.
no. What I
Toast.
was like,
Toast,
because the
please.
level of like technology and knowledge in that world is not the same as Earth's, right? So
they're
he's using
I don't
these
know, man.
concepts.
They got big giant mechas. That's far beyond our technology
But that's
currently.
not
Well,
tech. It's magic. They run
it's
on
just a lot
mana.
of it's just kind of like magic, right? They're just
So I
Man,
like,
guess I guess in some ways, I see where Toast is coming from.
yeah.
But
But
then again, it's kind of just semantics at that point
yeah,
because
the
by
point
tech you
is,
mean like concepts in
yeah.
general too.
yeah, the point is he's using things that we already know on Earth and applying them to the parallel world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally
But like,
like
can you even call it a like an isekai series at this point?
I think you. I mean,
Because
yeah.
like from the
Uh,
norm, it's straight from the norm because he doesn't have these godlike stats and oh I have this UI and
Are you talking about isekai as in like the genre, like the
in
motive for
general,
like what
yeah.
he's doing? Yeah. So no, I don't think. Well, okay. So this is very interesting point that you do bring up. I do still believe that it is a heavy power fantasy, as is one of the main objectives of isekai, right? It's supposed to be this power. A lot of times, it's supposed to be this power fantasy. If it's not a general sort of backdrop, I do believe it is. I mean, from the author's perspective, it is supposed to be a power fantasy because like he's just doing whatever he wants, mecha building, defeating. bad dudes, teaching them what's right, stuff like that. And so it is still going through these steps, but a lot of these but the power fantasy takes on a different form than the usual isekai, as you said, like being overpowered, feeding the bad dudes, having a harem, stuff like that. It's very it's different from that. It's much more so like um it's not a regular like otaku degenerates like power fantasy kind of thing. It's more of a mecha otaku's degenerate power fantasy. Does that make sense? That's my
Yeah,
opinion, at
it's
least.
more it's definitely still an isekai, and it still has like a lot of the themes of it and power fantasy because he becomes like I get what you're saying, Toast, where it's like it's not as direct, where he's not
Yeah,
like the
he's not like
greatest, he's
Superman,
not the
but
greatest,
he has a
strongest
Superman
tech.
mech. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not like the greatest, like tactician or the greatest fighter in the world or any of that.
but he is the
But
greatest engineer in the world.
he's the greatest engineer in the world.
He is
Yeah.
the greatest engineer in the world.
So it's very much still that like sort of isekai, like I have more knowledge than you because I pretty much have a fucking unfair advantage.
Yeah, but that's not to say that one thing I would like to point out is that although I do say it is still power fantasy, I I sort of disagree again with the connotations that come with it. That is the whole like power fantasy, just land, do whatever you want, get the girl all the time. And yes, if it does lead down that road, it can become pretty poor slash mediocre. But I don't believe that power fantasy is necessarily in itself. I mean, it is a very slippery slope kind of thing, but I, I don't believe at its very core just having like an overpowered like character or whatever necessarily always has to lead to something that's super mediocre or whatever. A character can be super, very, very, very powerful and can do things almost arbitrarily, and you can still have a good story. You just have to tell it very, very carefully so that the power creep slash the power level side of the story kind of never comes out of the woodworks. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see what you're saying because
yeah,
like the origin might be parallel world, but like the stuff after that, it feels
yeah,
more like a traditional like a mecha anime set in a fantasy genre after that because
yeah.
it
That
becomes
is
really
true.
irrelevant after like oh
Yeah,
I just reincarnated and I have magic, but after
yeah.
that it's I mean
That's why I say that the when I talk about the sort of like isekai portions and how the balance of the series, as I said, between him just building the mecha stuff and him doing the action stuff, um, are sort of important. And I do like when he kind of builds like the mecha stuff, although obviously that takes up a lot. Sometimes I wish they'd stop just doing like random sort of vaguely not very good like computer science trivia. Like although sometimes it's
that's
like
techno
it's funny.
babble. You really want
Yeah,
I mean those are the
yeah,
best episodes. Like you spend what episodes 4 and 6. It's up to episode 6 now. Those two episodes are all about like we're gonna build this technology and we're gonna
yeah,
spend the entire episode talking about it, and those are the best episodes so far.
yeah. No, I like
Well,
that. I like that part. I like the engineering part. Sometimes like the dude also because like the magic is formed by like the computer science stuff or whatever.
I mean
Computer.
yeah, he
that's
throws around coding, but it
Sometimes
doesn't
I don't like that as
go
much, but
anywhere. Yeah.
for the most part,
I mean that stuff
the
isn't
engineering
really
part.
that prevalent in the anime. It's
Yeah,
mostly like
that's
the
true.
hardware he's building. Like we're gonna build these
Yeah,
these sub
exactly.
arms, and like that doesn't talk about like we gotta use magic for this.
Yeah,
Because
exactly,
most of the
exactly.
magic is going to be centered around like the basic computer stuff. Like oh, part of
It's
the
also mainly centered around when he's actually like in an action scenes and when he's like driving, because like
yeah
usually those action scenes end him nearly like crashing the mech and he has to like magic it up, right, or whatever.
yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, I
but he's also not just building mechs. He's also built small powered suits instead.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I think a nice touch though is that so far the way they're doing it as well is there's been a few things of combat, but they haven't actually shown him as like the greatest at even controlling them to begin with.
yeah. He's not like it's really not action. Like the action is there to drive the whole like plot of he's in a isekai world. Like isekai world actually has stuff going on, but beyond that, it's not very like like the action is kind of like there to be like, hey, by the way, these mechas do something. Like these mechas
Yeah,
do things.
like they actually can fight.
Yeah, they were made for fighting, by the way. It's kind of like that. Again, it's a very interesting way it came up. I would just like to like I think the most important thing that this author can do is make sure that the sort of like action kind of thing, like either becomes very sort of pointed and like, you know, leads back into the whole like mecha building very quickly, and isn't the whole like, I'm the bad dude. I'm jealous of this young kid engineer, blah blah blah. And it's just like if you're going to force in the action slash like the isekai, politics part into the isekai politics slash drama part into the whole like 80-90% mecha building kind of thing, and you're gonna like force us to watch that, I'm like make it good, like make it decent, at
I
least like
mean,
tolerable to watch, and
it's funny you
beyond that,
it's funny
but
you bring that up because one of the episodes that was really good was when he finished like after the whole behemoth fight where he
yeah.
kills thing. He starts building like the skeleton of his own custom unit,
Hmm.
and then there's this warning. There's
Have you
this
gotten to the part where he builds the propulsion?
what propulsion for what which
Okay,
one
no mind, fuck.
for which
You could.
for which one? Because he there was a propulsion system. I saw.
I think he builds it for skeleton, and then later on he like attaches it to other stuff. But yeah, go on.
Anyway,
Anyways,
there's this
oops.
episode where his technology, the crystal strand stuff, and the new
Yeah,
unit he's building has been leaked to like a different country.
yeah,
And there was an entire episode dedicated to, hey, we're a different country, and we're gonna raid this fortress and
yeah,
take
exactly that.
those
Yeah.
units, and that brought up it was reminiscent of the first episode of Gundam Seed where Zaft infiltrates the what is it called, Federation or whatever, the good guys. I don't care anymore. The good guys and
There's no good and bad in Gundam, dude.
steals there's steals there up. The prototype Gundam units. It was kind of like that, where and it was pretty cool. Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do think that might be a slope though.
mhm.
If they keep going down
I mean,
the like storyline of here's the other country,
Yeah.
like I hope they don't get super political with.
you
And
have
they
to
just
you
kind
have
of
to
keep
even
it.
the playing field somehow. Because if you have just one, like this is a problem in mostly isekai where like the main character is so overpowered that there's like all combat
He just
encounters
makes
with him
his
are
own
one.
country at the end or
Yeah,
something.
No, yeah, they can do that, and I'm saying like I'm hoping that it does go the route of like the major conflict is the other country simply stealing his shit and trying to fight. I don't like. I hope we don't get the scene of like politicians trying, because the moment that comes into play, it's like, well, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if it was done better, like, there are more people involved from the politics side, and then they got more into it, and the dude had to go through, like, oh, I have to, invest all my fucking time into dealing with this politics when I just get into mecha, and maybe, like, that will go into, like, if the author had, the, like, coherence to do all that, maybe, but, like, right now, the author's just like, yeah,
yeah, but
this
that
dude likes
stuff's
mecha.
boring, man. Let's
Also,
just build stuff.
yeah, I
Yeah,
It is
know. That's
boring.
what
yeah, that's
that's
what
what
I'm
he wants to
saying.
do. But the author is like knows he's not as good with like writing the politics stuff, but still wants to kind of like chuck it in sometimes. And I'm just saying he should probably be a little bit careful.
I mean, have you
Like,
seen the author's Twitter? It's all like gunpla and building stuff.
yeah,
This
I'm
is
cool with
this
that.
series. This
Like,
series shouldn't be called Knights and Magic. It should be called Knights and Mecha because the magic is irrelevant and
Night
it's
Mecha and
irrelevant.
Magic Mecha. Just like
I
add
mean,
Mecha after
it's
every
like
word.
what is magic or what is magic but like glorified science? Once you get
Yeah.
science up to a certain point, it can be
Indistinguishable
considered
from
magic.
magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, I believe that's the quote.
Yeah,
But
man. Like, can you explain how rockets work? Magic.
magic. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
this series is super cool. I like it.
yeah, I definitely agree that this series, whether however the author wanted it to be, took a slightly different turn from the usual isekai stuff. Although it does resemble very strongly sort of the motives of the or I guess the isekai genre that Toast is talking about, I do still think that it's a solid watch, but again, it's a little bit, sometimes when it goes to the action/politics part, it can be a little bit unstable, so take that
Who
as you
cares
will
about that? Just watch the
regardless.
episode where he builds crystal tissue and propulsion systems.
Yeah,
I mean,
those parts are pretty good though.
the latest episode has him and their chief country's night magical research laboratory like squaring off in a contest where we're gonna who can build a better mech, the kid or the country's top experts, and it'll be fun to watch.
Okay. Dark, any last words on this series?
I think it's definitely one of the better series out this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's it definitely has its moments, and its world is actually really neat too. I like the
The
inclusion of
world is
like
a little bit
even
more stable. It's not just like, oh, there's a there's a federation, and then there's a merchants thing, and then there's this empire, and the empire is bad, like Nazis, and then you're in this other nation, and then kings. Like it's not really like that. It's a little bit more stable.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's more like their factions seem to be right now. It's like, okay, here's one country that's pretty much dominant, and then here's the other country that's not dominant.
Yeah.
And their reason for like not liking each other is because obviously one's dominant, and that's it. There's no like real crazy backstory sort of thing.
Crazy power struggle, war, whatever stuff like that.
Yeah, then there's not like a billion different factions being used, so it's nice. There's something else I was going to bring up about it too, which is pretty cool. Oh, the even just simple inclusions of like dwarves and like slightly different fantasy races is pretty nice as well. I appreciated that inclusion because it kind of makes it a little bit more flushed out. Like it's not like it's just like, all right, here's like kind of fantasy world, but there's mechs now. There's actually a little bit.
The key point is that the dwarves are blacksmiths, man. You gotta if you want the best. If you want the best smith gear, you gotta have a dwarven blacksmith or elves.
Classic. All right. With that said, I guess we'll start. Again, thank you, Toast, for the heads up.
Yeah. If you like mecha anime, it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
More so than that silly isekai thing like smartphone.
Well, smartphone is a different topic altogether. Anyways, with that said, we'll move on to the next series. And this one is almost very opposite what we just talked
Speaking
about.
of mecha, there was this one at the end of episode 6. He builds a centaur robot.
Yeah.
A
That's very similar to what we're. That's extremely similar to what we're talking about, which is I can't go on, dude. Dark, you take it over.
What's happening?
Yeah, exactly.
he builds a centaur robot because he needed a unit with better speed and agility.
Yo, was this why you wanted me to go after you? Are you fucking kidding me for this segue?
Hell yeah.
This is the segue.
I tried to take it and then I just like kept fumbling. I was like, I can't do this.
Speaking of centaurs, Dark.
Okay, Centaur's Life. Speaking of shows that are good, oh wait, never mind. I lied. This one's not very good. Haha. Okay, so Centaur's Life. Centaur's Life is a show. It's a slice of life this season. I mean, really, it's one of the more, I think, better known shows this season.
I think it was more highly anticipated coming off of Demi-chan and whatnot.
Oh, that's
which was
it has its own following as well, I believe.
Yeah, which was a mistake, and I feel bad for the people who were like, man, after Demi-chan, I can't wait to get more Monster Girl stuff. Because this is not that, and boy is it not as good. Let me get into that, I guess. So Centaur's Life is Centaur's Life. I'm going to keep calling it that, but it's Centaur's Worries, and it's officially translated as that, so I apologize. But it's basically like just a slice of life Yuri. There's a lot of Yuri elements in that show, so I would
Yeah, I mean
definitely classify it as like pretty much a Yuri because there's a lot
it's
of
not like
moments.
smut, but it's like it is pretty just like there's Yuri going on like
Yeah, it's very very casual with it, and it's very very obvious why they're.
well, it's casual with a lot of things.
Are
Like a
you
lot of
sure
the
it's
actions are
Yuri, or is it
stuff.
because it's more along the lines of Monster Girls?
What do you no no?
Like
What do you mean by that?
What do you
like
focus on?
Monster Girls is a genre all by himself, and while there are Monster Boys, like those aren't no one cares about Monster Boys, so like it's all about
No, it's
Monster Girls.
no, it's Yuri, dude. It's definitely Yuri because they start getting into relationships later on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Um, so it's pretty much a Yuri series.
But it seems like a lot of things. Well, you said that it takes it very casually, but it seems like it takes a lot of the interactions are very casual. Like it's like, oh, you did something. It's like, oh, okay, kind of thing. Then not very like. It's not like, for instance, Gabriel Dropout or like other sort of much more comedic slapstick oriented series where it's like, uh, they kind of overreact unless it's for very like specific like comedy purposes. You know what I mean? But like it's not like in those series they kind of just overreact and like everything. Like whenever there's like Sukomi, like they just kind of like buzz, they kind of like vibrate or whatever, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that works to and against it. Like to its advantage and against it at the same time. I would say it works to its advantage in some of the interactions of like the actual supposed to be like everyday life where this is natural to them.
Right, right.
I think that's where it works really nicely. Where it doesn't work really nicely is what I'm going to get into as what I would call the thing that ruined the entire series for me and why I will probably drop it.
Uh-huh.
For some reason, the author decided to take this as an opportunity to throw in a very, very ham-fisted commentary on discrimination that's not done well whatsoever.
I kind of didn't somebody say that it's not similar to the manga or whatever it is? Like it's a deviation from the manga?
No, it's not a deviation from the manga. The
It's the same
manga,
thing.
it's pacing.
The
Yeah.
pacing is fucked up, so that's why it was.
Bio had told me, oh, the manga, that's like one scene in the manga, and it's like, well, one panel in the manga can lead up to about 3 seconds of the show, but it doesn't like that doesn't. It's not bad. So it's very much still a straight adapt from from the first 3 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and but I guess it's more what I discussed with Bio is that I feel like manga I give more of a chance with that shit because the pacing it's there, but it's not as apparent when pacing it gets a little shaky in manga because you're the one who's reading it to begin with.
That is true, yeah. And you can like kind
So
of skip over it almost subconsciously.
yeah, so that's what kind of pretty much happened with Bio is that he was like, well, that was one panel in the manga and I don't even remember it. It's like, yeah, so there you go. In the show, though,
you're forced to watch it.
You're forced to watch it, and it's like you have a voice actor delivering these lines.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of more apparent for you.
Yeah. And also, from what I watched, a lot of it was like very sort of like, as you said, out there. It was very much like they sat the kids in a room and it's like, if you guys mess up or if you guys cross any lines, remember you guys are gonna get screwed, like stuff like that.
Yeah, like the problem. So I want to get into the discrimination. So the episodes, like to finish off that, like it's pretty much what you'd expect for the most part before the discrimination comes into play. You have girls. One of them might kiss another one, and then they blush. Wow, there you go. There's your show. It's pretty basic. It's not anything spectacular in the first 3 episodes. It's kind of nothing to really write home about, which is unfortunate.
Well, it's also very like there are a lot. I mean, like most of them are like Monster Girls types, but they don't really focus on it, which is like at once like
what do you mean they don't focus on it? They focus on it a lot.
No. They don't like when they're like going out and like kind of doing their like Monster Girl stuff. Like for instance, like Monster Musume, right? Like the series. like what they or like I guess Demi-chan also. Like what they do is like they take like a specific problem or like a specific like concept about some monster, and then they kind of like examine it, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay, I get what you.
but a lot of Centaur no Nami is very sort of like they're either a lot of times like doing normal stuff, or when it's like monster related, it's a lot of times it's just like, oh yeah, they just needed like a centaur for this, or they needed like a centaur for that, or something like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah,
like
they
those throughout.
so far the only problem, like you're actually right about that. So I guess a good way to say is that like issues in the show a lot of the time have nothing to do, like the actual worries have
Mhm.
nothing to do with her being a centaur, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
pretty much like average, like what you'd
They're kind of
expect.
just yeah, they're like normal go worries kind
It's
of
like, well,
thing.
what if I get fat? It's like, don't need to be a horse to worry about that. And then there is never really an occasion in which being a centaur has played into it yet.
Yeah, or like a very like integral like, oh, we need to look at this, like what's going on here, kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's no like if being a centaur played into the situation,
Mhm.
it was obviously going to play into the situation from the. There was no
Yeah,
questioning. It was
I mean,
like
because
this
that's the whole like
situation.
focus, right? Like it's
Yeah, it's like this situation is here because she's a centaur to begin with.
yeah.
There was never something like, I don't know. There hasn't really been a scene yet where they're doing something and her being a centaur changes the way it
Exactly.
really goes down.
Like
So
they're in a dressing room. I mean, like the biggest thing is like, again, as I said, like for instance, like in episode 2, like they're looking at like the magazine or whatever, and then they're like, hey, who is this? And then it's like, yeah, the person wanted the photographer or the editor or whoever wanted a centaur model. But the thing is, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, they don't even like really need to talk about it because it's like all that's showing on the magazine is their face. So it's
yeah,
it's not that relevant.
yeah. So
Wow,
they
Fire,
that
you can't just ask a centaur to show her hooves on a
That
on a
is true.
on a cover
Those
page, man.
would be very
This isn't a Gravier shoot.
yeah. If she's showing her hooves and belly, that's not allowed. That's
yeah,
pretty
it's
bad.
not fucking PG.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the major issue with that part alone, is that it split itself too much with that,
Mhm.
between being like just a basic Yuri slice of life and
Mhm.
then having like the monster girl thing
Mhm.
feed into it,
Exactly.
and then another added layer what is the whole discrimination factor. That
Okay.
gets very shaky because
Well, how much? I mean, like obviously there was like a slightly strong stint of that at the start, but I didn't really catch if there was anything else at the very end because I
that's
only.
that's the problem. I would say this show is consistently inconsistent with its tone, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the bad part, because you introduce this whole thing where you're like, okay, episode 1, half of it's going to be slice of life, and then the second half we're going to lecture you on the world, how it works, and how discrimination
Well,
functions.
was that just I mean, okay, so I watched episode 2 and I didn't really see anything, right? So are we safe to assume that for the most part, unless they have like a major like 2 to 4 episodes where they really kind of dig into discrimination, other than that, um, are we to assume that we're probably not going to see something like that?
uh
Is
well,
what I want to think about.
from what I gathered, when I talked to Bio, so take it with a grain of salt, because
Hmm.
didn't like sit down and talk for 4 hours about
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
So it could be me misinterpreting, or it could just be like us not really getting into it enough.
Yeah,
But there
because
is
if it
apparently, as the series goes on, it does apparently focus on like world issues at certain points of like how people live, how like different monster people live in different parts of the world and whatnot. And there's like
okay.
war torn Middle East with snake people,
I mean, that could
apparently.
be. I mean,
Don't you
that could be.
mean the Antarctic? Because they're called Antarcticans.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
May as well be
but
the East.
yeah, but again, those that could be construed in 2 ways. Where it's like one is like that's more or less just like Monster Girl trivia that they're presenting. The second way that could be construed is again more of the sort of as you said, the sort of discriminatory kind of tone, right?
Yeah, and the problem is that I would say in you saying like, oh, they didn't really have much of that discrimination stuff in episodes 2 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a problem in and of itself then, because they introduced the show with
Mm-hmm.
like half of it is the way they introduced it is they gave you a lecture
Yeah.
on how the world works, but
Mhm.
then you have these shadowy figures standing menacingly in like the school's door while the teacher's giving the lecture.
Aren't they the parents? Are they the
No, they were like fucking government aides, dude. They're
Oh,
like
okay. I thought they were like
shadowy men in
parents.
suits.
Yeah, okay.
And they're standing there like, yeah, she did good. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So it's pretty much like weird government conspiracy shit.
It's
And,
like Close but like they're hiding behind the door.
Yeah, that pretty much like Koyotu, so age. So that wasn't very good. And then it kind of just gets a little worse from there because they do pretty much drop it in episodes 2 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
save for offhand comments from the character.
Yeah, okay.
Which-
So the major problem here, and I'm not saying that it should be looked aside by any means, is that uh, basically episode 1 created this tone that wasn't followed up for some reason, and we're not sure if it will be followed up way more, which would be not a very good thing, or if it won't be followed up, which is an okay thing, but we're kind of like, what was the point of what came over in episode 1 then? Is that sort of the crux of the problem?
Yes, and also when you brought up Koituso, I realize now is that it does have a very similar issue with the government agent sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, this shit should be a dystopia for all intents and purposes, and it's getting really weird because there's a thing with the water folk, as it was subbed as. I don't really know how accurate that was. Yeah. So the fish,
probably like mermen or something.
Yeah, like the mermaids and the mermen sort of idea, like that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're apparently they're like, oh, they can't walk on land, so the government's developing technology to like give them essentially like a robotic centaur lower half thing.
I'm slowly thinking of the whole like, how it's like Paralympic stuff like that, or like Special Olympics have the whole like people running with the legs, like the plastic legs.
Yeah, it's pretty much like prosthetic, like this weird prosthetic thing, and they're like, and they say on the news channel, they're like, but doctor, isn't focusing all of this effort on the water folk reverse discrimination?
What is reverse? Did they really say reverse discrimination?
It was subbed as that, and it was very much implied that that is the concept that they were trying to employ there, where they're like, they're focusing too much on the mer people. Is that a problem? And then that's where it begins and ends. And I was like, okay, I guess that's all we're getting out of that. So it's this weird like dual thing of they keep bringing up like in the first episode they made it very menacing, and now in these episodes they're like making no big deal about it. Like one of the girls leans on the centaur girl and she's like, well, I won't get arrested if I'm just leaning on you. And then, but the centaur girl's like, I'm all right with it. You want me to give you a ride back to class? And she's like, no, I'll get arrested.
It's like the Master Wisdom thing where it's like if you ride on it, it's like the same as getting married or whatever it is. Like
yeah, she can't get married anymore.
she can't get married with the Centaur girl, dude.
I was like, it's very weird, and
no, I see what you're saying.
The discrimination whole thing, it's tacked on, and it gets really ham-fisted at times for the amount of effort that they put in.
Right,
It's a very low effort, and they try and make a big deal about it, and it's like making a big deal about it, and then giving it.
The whole like artificial tension, right? But it's like they can't. They're like, we literally have negative tension in the series because the series is about fucking like monster girl Yuri kind of stuff going on in a school setting. So
yeah, like the first episode opens up with girls kissing, and then it's like the second half is discrimination. Though I'm like, you're gonna have to pick one.
Yeah, or at least do the other thing like decently or like halfway decently.
Yeah, it's like you don't have enough. You don't really have enough time.
Yeah, it's like somebody saw Sakura Check and they're like, You know what this needs? A little bit more drama, like
Yeah,
randomly.
it's the drama is very, very not great.
Yeah, that's really
And that leads to its own problems. Also, the last like problem I have with it, which is another reason why I think I'm going to drop it, is the audio visuals. Like the visuals are okay to like mediocre. The audio is actually awful. It, there is no background music in half of the scenes. It's just dead silent, except for like Foley, like sound effects and stuff.
Dude, that's purposeful silence. They want to make sure that the voices are emphasized. Okay, you can't be distracted. The audience can't be distracted. Okay.
That's the thing, though, because you have that happen. Like, oh, okay, you know, there's no sound, but them talking
Nothing but
like
racism.
the background.
Nothing but racism. Yeah.
Then sometimes when like shenanigans happens, they'll play a song. They'll have like a background song kick in, which then you really notice that it was silent for the past 5 minutes.
Right.
But then once that kicks in, the audio mixing is terrible. So like the sound is pretty much just as loud as the music is just as loud as their voices, and it's really
It's jarring. I think.
it's very, very jarring, and it's unfortunate because I wanted to like the show a lot, but kind of.
So is your problem with the show that it's not so much about the monster girls and that it's perfectly normal? Like it'd be the same even if they weren't monster girls?
Yes, and they try and justify that and give a really, really
What if?
bad thing about it, where they were like, if there weren't any monster people in this world, there probably wouldn't be discrimination. The only differences would be in skin color. Ain't that funny?
Ha ha ha! What if it's just an allegory on current events?
That would exactly be what it is, and it's very obvious, and it's not very good the way it's done.
We don't like those Antarcticans because they're from Antarctica.
Yeah, they look different. It's like, shut up.
Screw those snake people. We like them centaurs and winged people more.
Their explanations also fucking sense. They were like, everyone knows that all life on the planet evolved to have 6 limbs, correct? And it's like the centaurs have the 4 legs and the 2 arms, and the angel people have the 2 legs, 2 arms, and then the wings, and the devil people have the same, and the sheep and animal people don't have 4 arms or 4 legs.
Wow, screw those sheep and animal people.
So they just kind of have 2 limbs and 2 arms and 2 legs.
Wow,
But
screw those 2-armed and 2-legged people. They suck.
and the tails don't count, so really that doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. The snake people don't make any sense whatsoever because they don't have 6 limbs either. So really that kind of fell apart already, and it's just, I don't know. This show's kind of a fucking mess, to be honest. And it's really obvious. Like, it's not even like nitpicking. Like, I was going into this show really expecting to like it. And then after episode 1, I really didn't, and I kind of held out by episode 2 and 3. And by episode 2 and 3, it's kind of just like, I could watch this, but every time they bring up the discrimination parts, it kind of just sours the rest of it, because it's like, if you're not going to make this a serious drama, don't even fucking bring it up, because don't dedicate don't dedicate like a 3-second offhanded comment to be like, wow, discrimination, that's a serious thing and it's really bad, huh?
Yeah. Like, again, it's
by the way, here's some girls.
Yeah. It's this addition of artificial tension that it's, I mean, obviously it's forced. I mean, and it's not that the tension in itself is, like having tension in itself, but it's just that the author doesn't know how to put it in beyond just like, isn't that a reverse discrimination, which isn't so much an argument as it is just like a random statement, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all just these random statements that are just thrown in there, and they sound and feel very thrown in. And it's like, if you were going to have some sort of drama and tension like this, discrimination is probably not the one to choose to do that with. Like, I don't want I'm not even trying to be like, fucking, discrimination is too serious to have in this show because you can't have anything like that. Because you could have a commentary on discrimination alongside a Yuri or something, or a Monster Girl show. It's like, you can still do that, but you better actually dedicate something to it rather than just a fucking offhanded comment by some random character about it, because then it just feels
discrimination.
really bad. Yeah.
By the way, we hate those Antarcticans and their black scales.
Yeah, don't like them. They're from the dark continent.
They're from the highly advanced civilization of Antarctica. We don't like them because they have long necks and no arms or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know. I mean,
it's silly, but I mean,
it's unfortunate. The series lends itself to be more of a what do you want to call it? Anthology, I think would be the right word for it. Where it's like this, if they wanted to do a series like this, you should have chose one of two things: either eliminate the way you're doing the discrimination because you're introducing way too many animal people races.
there's like what, 6 types now?
Yeah, we're up to like 6 types because we have centaur, angel, devil, sheep person, cat people. We have a lot more than 6 actually at this point, with the Antarcticans and the mer people included. Like, and you're trying to give them all their own problems, but then you're also trying to make this kind of like a slice of life about this one set of characters, and then you're also trying to make it a commentary on discrimination, and you're not succeeding in any of those like things very well. Like you're sacrificing too much to include too many things, and now you're not able to do them well enough. I think this series honestly would have worked better as an anthology. Is that what it's called?
Anthology?
Anthology, yeah, there you go. Where it could have been like each episode is a different place and a different like race of monster people. And here's like how they live their lives and here's their issues. Because it does apparently even get into that later on in the manga. It's like it doesn't serve it well to have a show called Centaur's Worries, and then we have like an episode or a chapter in the manga dedicated to talking about snake people, and it has nothing to do with the main character.
Or I mean, I'm somewhat, again, like the idea of it, I'm somewhat okay with, but it also needs to be more about, the Centaur Monster Girl's worries, and not just like Centaur is a girl and she has girls' worries, and it's like, well, yeah, but then why am I reading this and not literally any other like Yuri slice of life kind of thing, right? It kind of begs the question.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You could have been like, okay, here's a Yuri slice of life with the Monster Girl like thing on it, and we're gonna have it based on what they would have to deal with, not only as girls, but then you have the Monster Girl thing as an additive where there's even more issues now that you'd have to deal with that. And you end it there. You don't go, we're gonna have that, then we're also gonna have like discrimination, and we're also gonna get into like 7 other races and their problems, and then we're gonna have episode or chapters dedicated to that, and we're not gonna even have like the character featured in half of this episode. It's like that's not exactly accurate to its name, or a very good way to have a solid package.
Yeah.
Show.
Again, it's very unfortunate. I do like the sort of slice of life parts of it, but it's like the whole like discrimination parts are a little bit unsettling for me. For me, it's more like unsettling than anything else. But
it kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah. Anyways, any last words on the series?
Who's your favorite character?
Who's my favorite character? Probably the fucking tomboy.
Wow, you like
her too.
You don't like the Antarctican girl? What's wrong with you? Are you
dude?
Are you racist?
Like up to episode 3, all right? I don't care about her. Guess what? That joke was fucking done. My Hero Academia, and it was a 30-second fucking gag.
Wait, which one?
Dance game.
In My Hero Academia with what's her name? Suyu Froppy.
Yeah,
When
but
she
Oh,
talks
yeah,
about
Frog
the
Girl.
lizard girl, when she talks about how she met that girl with the lizard head, it's like there you
that
go.
one.
Gag's already been done before.
Yeah, but she's everyone's favorite.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That gag is old news. It's
Yeah.
old news, man. I think the descriptions of the Antarcticans is cool, and like their whole story is cool. But like I said, that serves more as like an anthology than this show about a centaur girl who has really nothing to do with the people.
Alright. Anyways,
I would
thank
say
you.
I hate to cut you off again, but what I was going to say before was I would still say give this show a shot and a fair chance because you might like it.
Yeah.
It might be your thing.
It's the whole like weighing the whole slice of life slash school life against the whole um sort of the again as I said the unsettling parts, the discrimination stuff that comes up.
Yeah, I would say there are probably a good bit of people that might be able to. I don't really want to say look past that, but might be okay with that.
It did
Doesn't
win.
doesn't really
It
make
is.
I don't even want to say it. I don't like it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Like what they're doing, and I think the only major flaws with the series that I'm like this turned me off from it like a lot too was the audio visuals of it. Like the visuals aren't that great. The audio is not great either. I think that's like the blanketed warning
Mm-hmm.
to like to give there. So it's like if you can deal with like mid-tier audio visuals, which why the hell wouldn't you be able to? Half of the shows have them.
Yeah.
Then I think you should give it a shot if you warrant. I mean, I think it's okay too, Pio.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I think
There are
it's a
just
fair.
some
I
things
think it's a
yeah.
fair 6.5 out of 10. Like it got on Mall, like, which is disappointing to me because I was expecting it to be like one of my favorite shows this season.
Are
Yeah.
you saying it's not award winning?
Anything
probably
can
could.
be.
Yeah,
If prison
it probably
school.
could win an award soon.
It pretty sure
But
it
yeah,
did.
it
Might
did.
have.
Yeah.
Oh my god, please. Anyways, thank you, Dark, for the review.
It won the 8th Comic Ryujin Award in Japan. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Anyways, again, thank you for pointing out like specific stuff, like what might not hype people up so much for the series. Although people kind of go, like look at it and it's like, oh, the Lost Girls, blah blah blah. But yeah. Anyways, with that, we will I guess move on to the final series we want to cover, which is Vatican Miracle Examiners again.
Is this the
in
one about
Japanese.
the? Was this the one about the Holy Grail? Is this Fate?
No, this is not Da Vinci Code. But it is somewhat close to it. um, also known in Japanese.
Is this Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Please. But in Japanese it's known as, I believe it's Vatican Kiseki Chosakan, I think, called. Um, it's set in obviously like Vatican in sort of I think it's Elizabethan times. No, it's not Elizabethan times. It's World War II times. Excuse me, World War II eras, where they're still talk about dealing with like, or I think strictly after post World War II, where they're dealing with like Nazi criminals like that. But
I googled Vatican medical examiner, and one of the top searches is Vatican cardinal charged with historical sexual assault offenses. Is that what this is?
I don't think so.
That'll be their next. That'll be their next case.
But what is it? It contains. I mean, it's the main protagonists are two. It's like one dude who's like Japanese, like for some reason, right? Because they always need to be Japanese, especially the genius.
Hiraga Joseph
Yeah,
Joseph
exactly.
or Yosef? It's Yosef. Yosef
It's
Poe.
Joseph. Yes. Yeah, Joseph.
And then the other
And then
guy's name is Robert Nicholas.
yeah,
Wow,
Roberto
that's
or
such
whatever. I don't know whether it's Roberto or
that's
Robert.
such a Japanese name in my Japanese anime.
Yeah. But yeah, so these two guys, hear the types of miracles from the Vatican. They get these cases, find out what it's all about, whether it's an actual like miracle or whatever, or whether it's some bullshit, and they go out to solve it. And of course, the white dude, Roberto or whatever his name is, solves it using it tries to use like classical methods like looking through text, looking through codes, using a much more sort of a literary method to do it, or I guess yeah, literary like humanities kind of way to do it. And then the Japanese born dude, of course, is a genius who uses the secret of science and math to find out what these mysteries are. And he's like super genius. He can see like 300 steps ahead in games and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
he
but
used
that's not fair because he fucking made that game.
yeah,
That shit's cheating.
exactly. So it is very.
So
I mean,
so it's like good cop, bad cop kind of way, where one of them is all about the science, other one's all about beating people up.
it's close. It's less like a cop back up and more like uh, Sherlock Watson, Holmes
Oh.
Watson, which is sort of like that cop back up, but in a less. It's more just like a smart cop, dumb cop kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like in there, I think there is a slight difference. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. So obviously there's themes of that where it's like, oh, you're searching all these, literature and texts and holy scripts, but the power of science and math will solve this. And usually, like Japanese dude who's the genius will solve the mystery, right? Because
Yeah,
yeah,
because
because he's Japanese and also he knows science and math, right? All that stuff. So that happens, and then a lot of this is essentially a mystery series. I say correction, quote unquote mystery. It is mostly the most of the this is a more detective series. Again, the delineation that I make in saying these is that a mystery series involves the audience much more heavily in solving these actual mysteries. Like it shows a majority of the like what's going on in the mystery and like evidence stuff like that. And a detective series is one I call a supposed sort of something in the mystery genre
like
where
Hyoka,
no,
isn't that
Hyoko
a
is mystery.
yeah
Hyoko's mystery. Ghostic is detective.
Detective
Is
Conan? Is that detective series?
um I haven't seen too much of Detective Conan actually, but mainly because it's like super long and for obvious reasons I don't want to get into it. But I think Conan is a little bit on
Like
the
is there like a several chapters of them examining the thing, and then like the culprit will be revealed next chapter
yeah,
or
it's
next
it's more
episode?
just like so the difference would be something like in a mystery series, like they would be like the body is here, and then they would maybe talk about what's near the body, or maybe like something would happen, and like like these sort of like unrelated stuff, and then
Oh,
as the audience is stewing over whatever what
is it
these
like
events are,
Sakurako-san? That one's a detective-ish.
sort of, and then yeah, it's detective-ish, and well, no, that's God damn it, Toast. All right,
I'm
so
just
let me
trying to find a parallel to what you're talking about.
Yeah, let me finish the example. So that'll be more of a mystery thing because the audience can kind of engage in the mystery, right? Like they see the evidence, they see what's happening, stuff like that. And then the detective kind of thing will be just like the 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 story would just be like, yeah, there's a body, and then like a page or two later, the detective's like, yeah, I've solved the mystery. Come here, and then like afterwards he just like explains everything, and you're like, like half these either never happened, like I didn't even see these happening, or like you just pull these out of your head. It's kind of that thing. So that's the whole like sort of delineation between what I call a detective story, where a detective just comes in and solves everything, and the audience is like, oh, okay, and a mystery story where the audience is actively engaged in trying to solve the mystery along with the detective. So obviously there can be varying degrees of that along the spectrum, but I do think this is more of a detective story than it is a mystery story, because the dude just kind of like sees like random stuff happening, like they're just random deaths, but there's not that much in between. Like there's like the obvious like foreshadowing, like the devil, stuff like that, but a lot of the sort of background context that could be helped in trying to solve these mysteries are never explained, in my opinion. And
So, so
yeah.
how much religious undertones are in this series?
Oh
Like
yeah, I'll go.
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
is there some dude throwing holy water at like a leper and saying like
it's
you're
slightly
possessed by
worse than that.
demons?
Yeah, it's slightly worse than that.
It's like 1950s or something.
It's like the Inquisition era, but
I mean, it's the Vatican. They're religious people. They would throw holy water and
yeah, no, I'm not
It's
saying you're wrong.
lepers walking around in
Yeah,
1950.
yeah, but the
how would
leopard
you
death
know?
was a
This
little
is
bit weird.
there's a
But,
Japanese dude named Yosef. Anything could happen.
but what was I gonna say? Oh, so the as for the religious let me first of all go over the audiovisuals. The audiovisuals are like
How many
uh,
demons are in the first 5 episodes?
the audiovisuals are somewhat like very like shoujo style. Like it's pretty standard in that way.
The pointy
The
chins.
yeah, pointy chins, Gakuen Hansen kind of style, and the OP, I believe the OP is done by like a boy band. Like it's the usual kind of thing, trying to attract female listeners or female viewers and stuff like that. But as for the religious undertones, it's like scattered around like everywhere, and
Is religious undertones a medium in which it portrays their like how these miracles are happening? Like this is because it's the work of God, and the other dude's like, no, it's because of science. And I'm like,
that's close. That's sort of close. It's
really?
what happens is like a lot. I mean, like there's essentially all the the supporting cast and like the people who are not the two protagonists are going to be like, yeah, it was the devil's doing, and the two protagonists who are not like retarded are just like, yeah, there's probably something human going on behind here because these things don't just randomly happen. Like, or I mean, they're religious people, but they're not like wow,
They're
this
not
must
zealots.
yeah, they're not zealots. So they're probably just like, yeah, there's probably some funky stuff going on here. And then obviously that's the start of the mystery like solving, right? Or the detective solving. The problem I have, and this is part of why I think Dark laughed, is that there's like religious like references and trivia. I don't want to say references so much as trivia, because it's like there's a lot of trivia just like scattered around like random places. And it's very like I don't do I want to say obnoxious? I think it's somewhat obnoxious because it's like it's the series itself is pointed. Like we know what the series is trying to do, right? It's like a mini arc based, like 2 to 4 episodes based, mystery, and they're trying to solve it, and then they move on to the next mystery or do whatever, maybe slight amounts of character development in between, and outside of the general sort of theme of the series, we know what it's going to do. We know like what the motivation is. We know what the characters are sent in there to do. We know when it's going to end. That's much more different from something like fuck, I forgot the Upot.
Upote? Isn't the one with the
Upote.
guns?
Yeah,
Gun
Upote
girls?
is the gun girls exactly. Where all the girls are actually guns or whatever, right? They're anthropomorphized guns, right?
So what? How
Uh,
is this related to the Vatican? Are there guns possessed
no,
by
no, no. Let me
demons?
finish the example. So in that thing, there was a lot of like there was a lot of trivia like scattered in all over the place. Like you knew the author was like a gun maniac, right?
So
But the difference,
the author is a religious maniac. Like
yeah, yeah, I think he's a freaking like Da Vinci Code maniac, like
Pope
Robert
John
Langdon.
Paul was born on whatever, and this is somehow
Yeah.
related to the
I think he's a
Exorcist of the
Wikipedia
miracles.
maniac more than he is a Vatican
Well, I
maniac.
mean, did you see the ED? That's why I was like, this show's subtitle should have been "I had fun in my trip home."
So stupid.
This
Oh my
man
God.
saw the Vatican once and was like, "Yo, that shit looks cool."
Yeah. Fucking Romans, like white people, like holy shit. But yeah, in Upote, the scattered trivia was okay because in terms of like pacing and like why it's there, stuff like that, because the series itself was not pointed. It was just like gun girls doing gun girl stuff, right? And it's just like random, and the trivia was random, and the girls were random, and they were just all random, right? And that's coherent in itself, and it's like randomness because it's all just out there. But in this, the Vatican Miracle Examiners, it doesn't make as much sense because they just say like random like religious trivia like supposedly because they're in the Vatican. Um
Did you know
and
Jesus was born on this date? He was born
yeah,
on
I know.
Christmas. What?
The
Really?
problem is like no, the problem is like they'll say like random stuff like that like in the middle of doing the mystery stuff. Like so it's not even just like they're visiting somewhere and then they're they take some time and then oh this is a reference, or like maybe at the very beginning of this thing when they're having breakfast and they're talking about something, maybe they bring up some religious stuff. It's just like a natural inclination for people to do. No, it's like they're like, oh, the sister blah blah blah, blah had some like problem or whatever, right? Or she's pregnant or whatever, or she broke some rule of the church, and they're walking away from that and it's like she was very pure like Saint Teresa. And so it's like, what does that have to do with anything? We're
What
talking about.
was this show
Dude,
sponsored by
she's the
the Vatican?
fucking virgin,
Yeah.
like the virgin conception or whatever you call it.
Yeah. And then it's like, they're also talking about like some pieces of evidence of what could be written upon it. It's like it must have been written, like blah 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 must have been written because that's all this quote and blah blah blah. And they take like an extra like 30, 45 seconds to explain it, and then they just hop back into the mystery. I'm just like,
Like, all right.
yeah, I'm just like, there's like, I'm not saying that there's like a time and a place for this kind of thing because there clearly isn't. But this is not a time to do this. It's like when they're doing all this mystery stuff to just be like, oh, this trivia, we're look at the stained glass and blah 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 blah, and then suddenly, boom, the mystery happens back. Like the supporting cast, like partisan, they're like, hey, we need you to solve this problem. I'm just like you guys need to balance the shit out a little bit better, like or like time it a little bit better, because I can't be having like mystery stuff and that's all fine, and like you can even have religious themed mystery, religious like some things surrounding this religious event occurring. That's fine, but then don't just be like, by the way, her eyes look like those of Saint Teresa's. Like that's just fucking weird. Like that's just random. Like that's not.
First of all, I'm pretty sure that's like fucking sacrilegious to begin with. These motherfuckers are like, we can't have a fucking virgin conception or whatever, because if we do that, then that goes against all the teachings our church ever taught us. And it's like, meanwhile, they bring up some guy when they go to South America to investigate. It was like, yeah, my brother was talking about, or like my uncle was talking about aliens. He saw a UFO, huh?
Yeah, I know.
And they're like, first this mystery, and now, and first this miracle, and now UFOs. And I'm like, okay, you should probably be a little bit more skeptical about that and be dismissive about it, because that also goes against all the teachings the church has ever taught you, my man.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like totally okay with this man being like, yeah, let's bring up this subject that goes against all the teachings of fucking occupation, but okay.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is like when the sister when they first got the problem of like the virgin birth, right? The virgin conception. Literally the first thing I thought of was they're probably going to just dismiss it. Like they're probably just going to dismiss it and move on to the next case, because there must have been a million cases like this, right? Like there must have been a million people that are just like, yeah, I had a virgin birth when they fucking probably went to the fucking like they probably were having sex like the night before, right? Like
No, but they did the tests and her hymen was intact, remember? Saw that line subbed in there and I was like, oh boy.
yeah,
Didn't know we were getting into this.
yeah. I'm just like literally probably one of the Vatican's like most like probably like set problems is probably something like virgin conception, right? Because like all the women there probably want to hide the fact that they were in bed with somebody because they're not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
But it's very weird how it tries to tie. I don't want to say themes because it's not deep enough for themes. It's very weird how it tries to tie its religious trivia into mystery, like at random times, and I don't really appreciate that. It um it doesn't like really like disturb me, but it does kind of fucking mess with me. Where it's like, okay, like, can we get on with this religious trivia already? Like, I don't mind like religious trivia, but I don't like it when it's randomly in the middle of this. Like, so I don't know what. I mean, obviously you said some things about the uh the plot, but what did you think, Dark? You also watched some of it.
Okay, so normally I would be like, there are very few series where I will actually agree with the notion of turn your fucking brain off. This one kind of captures that because it makes no sense. There were a lot of problems I had with the first episode.
The devil and then the dude
That's
who
sacrilegious
what?
of you to say, Dark.
Okay, Spire, I have a question. What was real in that episode and what was not? Because I had a very hard time figuring that out. And I think the characters did too. Because
I think like all of it was bullshit except for that one time where he got like probably like possessed or something.
well, because like they see like they're like, oh my god, we got to investigate this miracle, but everyone decides to leave out the fact that the fucking chick who was like, I'm pregnant with the Lord's baby, was floating in one scene and starts spewing blood out of her hands, and they're like,
exactly.
that happens. Like, listen, this ain't the first time we've seen one of these, and I'm like, okay, so that's either a miracle or a devil ritual, and you should probably investigate either or.
No, what was even more fucked up was that they were like, I think the whole like text and like humanities dude is just like, yeah, those aren't that uncommon. I'm just like, they aren't.
Yeah,
They aren't?
I forgot what they called her again with an S or something.
Stigmata.
Yeah, the fucking stigmata. Like, listen, the stigmata is not that uncommon. I'm like,
they aren't.
what? I was like, wait.
And then the best part was also like even beyond that was just like you know how she like said that I knew you guys were coming because these stigmata appeared just before you guys arrived. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and meanwhile, blood is like turning into a tornado around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if this is all right, guys. You should probably investigate this a lot heavier now.
And then like the dude keeps trying to explain like literally everything with like science and math or whatever. Just like
yeah,
again, like it's very like Da Vinci Code in this. I feel like the author literally watched Da Vinci Code and was like, yeah, I want to make an anime of this. But
yeah. Further on that like same sort of point though of like it's kind of weird. Like you can't. It's hard to. It's actually hard to understand from my perspective because like I was literally having trouble keeping up with what was real and what's not supposed to be real. Because when I say that, like
incidents happen.
Yeah, you have those weird ass incidents. Like she's like levitating and spewing blood out of her hands.
3 different people that levitate in that fucking arc alone.
And I'm like, but what does it mean? Like, what's happening? Is that happening?
Didn't the science dude explain that as like they weren't moving at all, so it looks like an optical illusion or some weird stuff like that?
I'm only on episode 1, man. I don't know. As far as I know, there's people levitating. At one point, there's like a fucking 4-eyed baby freak that's just a black shadow and looks like a goddamn alien and makes like fucking like feedback or whatever and gives one of the guys a headache and they kind of just walk away from that.
Now, what's the scientific basis behind this baby?
He freaks out and he's like, I don't know, dude. Like from episode 1 alone, like he sees the baby thing, freaks out, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, it's okay, and then moving on. Like, wait, what?
I think from what I skimmed of episode 3, they do kind of, or episode 3 and 4, the science dude does sort of unravel everything, but it's very, very convoluted. It's extremely like you're just hearing its explanation and just like that's really convoluted.
Well, this baby seems to be a completely isolated thing. Like it has nothing to do with the virgin birth thing. Like it's just a side thing that's going on. Like I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Much like his brother being having bone cancer, and he's like,
now is that a miracle or is that
no?
Is that explained by science?
They're probably going to use that as a whole like focal point for his introspection.
Oh no, I know that, but I mean like they bring the brother in for that, but that doesn't that what I'm saying is like, what the fuck's going on with the baby thing
Yeah.
and that, because like you're like, yeah, he explains like the virgin birth thing. I'm like, yeah, but I don't think he actually explains that, like what they saw there and what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Because they see that weird thing, and after that they go on to go like, oh yeah, by the way, oh no, he doesn't say it to anyone, but in the first episode, the Yosef has like a vision of his brother
Yeah.
being possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
Because like he sees his shadow and it's a demon, and then it starts laughing, and then he wakes up and he's like, oh, a nightmare. And they see this priest later on in the episode, like his body
Oh,
was
it's
head
possessed.
bashed in.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh my god. They're like, what happened? It's like, I saw someone in a hooded robe run that way. And then Yosef has a flashback. It's like, my brother in my nightmare was wearing a robe. And I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
So
Like, that was a dream.
so was it a demon that
Like,
killed him, or was
It's foreshadowing.
it a dude in a robe?
Dream.
Like, what the fuck? I was like, what does that have to do with anything that's going on right
It's
now, dude?
foreshadowing. He jumped out of the dream TV and just bashed his head in.
I was like, do you think these two things are connected? I was like, what the fuck?
That's how you know he's a man
Was
of
it
science.
was it a demon?
What?
But yeah, it's what I also don't like about series is that like I'm okay with having like I mean I'm somewhat okay with having like a decent amount of incidents, but it's like at some point like especially the way the series kind of repeats its just build tension where it's like some incident fucking happens, right, and then the people around them are like, it must be the work of the devil. Oh my god! And then the two go back into the room and they're just like, blah 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 science, blah blah blah, blah science, blah blah blah, something Christian, stuff blah blah blah, and then they call him back and or there might be a little bit of foreshadowing like in between, but it's like, and then they get called back and they're like, another dude fucking like got killed. I'm just like, is this a game of Clue or what's going on here? Like,
It's a miracle. He's dead.
yeah, he was killed by Professor Plum. Like, and that's fine. It's just kind of. I was thinking like after like the fourth or fifth or whichever death it was, or after the incident, whichever incidents, all these like quote unquote miracles that happened. I was just thinking like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, there's so much tension. I was like, I just like want to find out what's going on. It is sort of the thing. So it's like the tension kind of died away after like three or four or five incidents, and it was replaced by this like sort of let's get it over with kind of thing, which obviously is not the direction that this series wants to go into, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And further on that point, I think they're introducing in the first episode, they introduced far too much, way too quickly, because everyone's getting a little bit too miracle happy. Because after all this weird shit happens, the episode literally ends with a statue of the Virgin Mary crying.
Yeah,
quote
exactly.
unquote.
That's one of the things, and you're just like,
I'm like, wait, and one of the, it's a miracle.
yeah,
I'm like, wait, what? I was like, wait,
what? And then the episode afterwards, like all they've done apparently is just take pictures of it. I'm just like, haven't you guys like dissected? You guys should have like broken it apart or something by that point. Like,
yeah,
it's or like at
fucking
least like
crack it
look
open, see if someone
closely.
put pumps into it or some shit.
Like or ask like construction workers because that shit ain't right. That ain't right.
But it's also very easy to do to do
Yeah.
yourself. Like that's not miracle worthy. Like virgin pregnancy. That you don't come by those.
A miracle engineer
A
came and
statue
made the Virgin
spewing
Mary
out water in just a fucking fountain.
a,
They have them.
a miracle hydraulics engineer came by. A miracle
God,
working hydraulics engineer.
There's water coming from this stone.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe the main character runs his hand through a stream of water coming from a rock earlier,
Yeah.
as if some sort of fountain.
Yeah. Fucking the miraculous culprits behind this turned water into water hiding behind a stone. But
It's very, man, that show's very weird.
yeah, again, the worst part about this is mainly like not even like all this bullshit because it's like the author is just not that smart enough to like do all this stuff. But it's like I just wanted to get it over with at some point. I'm just like, so all this is science, right? And you just prove that it was all like corruption and science, except for maybe like so the two obvious endings are this because I haven't like watched the ending of the New York. It's gonna be everything science, and then two is gonna be everything science plus like one like bonus like maybe it was really God, like something like that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort of hope. So it's gonna be one of those two endings. It's mostly likely gonna be pure science because they're gonna leave out the whole like the hope or whatever, the hope for miracles until the very end is what I'm guessing. Um, and I'm just like, can we just kind of get it over with? Like, I was okay after like the first death and like the Virgin Mary crying and then like this whole like blood spattering like a million times kind of thing. But after this like seventh like incident involving deaths or stigmata or whatever it is, like I'm not too enthused. Like I've become much less. So if we could stop, that'd be really nice. It's mainly what was going
Yeah.
through my mind.
I think but what if it goes in the third direction, of which these are all miracles, and now
Fuck
they
you.
literally have to fight against the devil?
The demons. It becomes like it
It could
becomes like
happen. That could be
Resident
the
Evil, but
direction
like
it goes,
religious kind
dude.
of stuff. Like it's like
I'm,
Resident Evil. Like Umbrella Corps is like no.
I mean, to
uh,
be fair, these could have been miracles, and they're like, "Wow, we found a miracle," and then they're like, "Okay, this is actually kind of really fucked," and
yeah.
now we're trying to like
It's
figure out what's
a
going
race
on
against
with these miracles, race against the devil, you
yeah,
know?
race against the devil. Right? That's exactly what I was thinking. That that honestly will make it a better series than it is right now, or it will at least create more tension because they would create like a Doom kind of like feeling, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't even mean like so much actiony. I mean like,
No, I meant like the whole like idea of like racing against like time versus like Satan or whatever it is, right? Like
yeah. I personally, I think that it could actually go that way, assuming like some of it, like they could just be like, yeah, there's like some weird biblical, like
110%
there's
bullshit.
weird, yeah, there's weird religious shit going on, and we got to get to the bottom of this.
Oh my god.
So how
Listen,
many
they got a
demons are
baby,
in
they
this
got a
show?
shadow baby with 4 glowing eyes. All right, like I, I really want to know what's going on.
Wait, Toast, what were you gonna
That
say?
kind of goes
So
back
how
in.
many demons are in this series so far?
None, but apparently every incident is due to the work of the devil. So
I
that's
don't want to rule out that shadow baby.
yeah,
So
I'm still holding
it's
on.
like that
everything can be explained by science?
and math. uh, it's like that baby monster in Doom 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really shit's getting real weird with that. I want to know what's going on there. But then again, that also does feed into your thing where I'm like, shut the fuck up about everything else. Tell me more about that shadow baby because
yeah. I mean,
I really want to know. Like you
yeah.
can't just
I'm just
drop that and then move
yeah.
on.
I'm just like if this was just like I mean if the dude like protagonist is such a genius, he can see like 300, 500 steps ahead in the game or whatever. Then why can't he fucking tell us about what's going on already? And also, like, why are these incidents just
Because he made
happening?
up that game.
Yeah, and
It's
like
not real.
also again, this is part of why I don't like detective stories. It's just like they're just showing us these things. They're not like actually like putting detail into what's in the surroundings or like unrelated actions that are happening, stuff like that. That'll be like that'll intrigue the audience, right? The relevant like evidence. It's like, wow, maybe this like maid coming into this room or whatever is part of the mystery. Maybe she's the culprit or whatever, right? They're not doing any of that. There are a lot of times it's just like either very obvious foreshadowing, or it's like, oh, the dude's dead, get fucked, and it's like,
Yeah,
what? Okay, and
I
some
mean,
of
I mean,
yeah,
they're somewhat doing, but in a way. Like I guess the difference is like you were like, oh, they're not showing things that are relevant.
yeah,
You're right. They're doing that, but they're showing shit that's irrelevant.
yeah, exactly,
Like the
exactly,
shadow baby. What's the
yeah,
shadow baby? Doesn't really matter.
yeah,
It does not matter to this case, but what is it? It's like,
yeah,
okay.
and
That's
like
an
the
interesting way
whole
to put this.
yeah, and the whole like stigmata, blah blah blah, like going into our blood types. Like I haven't seen the significance of that yet. So like, whatever.
It's getting I don't know what the fuck's going on,
Yeah.
but I guess I'll
Overall,
watch it.
yeah, overall, if you're interested in how you think the series is going to turn out, check out the first arc. I guess it's probably around like 4 or 5 episodes in the middle of there. But like, if I were to like recommend or not recommend it the series, I would like not recommend it. Like it's just I've always had a bias against detective stories of this sort of magnitude, and this just the story and the trivia and the whole like interactions just do not jumble very well. So, what about you, Dark? Any last words? Recommend? Thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of thing.
All right, if you're someone who has like morbid curiosity that like you're like, yeah, I want to see where this goes in the sense of like you didn't drop Lost after it went to shit in like its what was it, fifth season or some shit. If you're like one of those people where you're like, I want to see what the hell's going on here, go for it. You're probably going to be disappointed like every other time you've done that, but you could do it again if you feel like it. I would definitely not actually like recommend it as like a series to invest yourself in. That was why I said like I don't usually go like turn off your brain when watching something, but it's like if you're gonna watch this series, you're pretty much gonna have to turn off your brain and just take joy from those moments of like you saying to yourself, "What the fuck is that?" Like, well, how is this even gonna tie into any? And then they're gonna give you some bullshit reasoning that doesn't actually, satisfy you anyway.
Yeah.
You can watch it if you want to, but that's your warning.
Yeah. Fucking shake my head to be quite honest. Anyways, again, thanks Stark for hurriedly watching Vatican Miracle Examiners at the last minute, so you can talk about it with me.
Pretty good
And,
time.
Yeah, it's interesting to be sure. But yeah, with that, with that, we will uh, move on to news, or what is our single news article actually. Again, by the time of our recording this, ANN is actually down right now. Anime News Network, the source that we usually get our news from, and I didn't really want to get news from pretty much other sources because they're not as good, or as they're not the type of news that I want to actually do, which are either mainly or, for instance, like my anime list does like mainly like adaptation stuff, and Rocky News 24 is garbage. So, we do have one single piece from Anime News Network that sorry, from my anime list that I do want to share, which is the Japan's monthly manga and light novel rankings for July, which I thought was interesting mainly because numbers, right? So we'll just check that out here. And so here are the monthly manga and light novel rankings for July from July 3rd to August 6th. And rank. So for manga, the top 5 are not too surprising: One Piece, Kingdom, Tokyo Ghoul, Detective Conan. Detective Conan is actually below Tokyo Ghoul. Never underestimate the power of fangirls for Tokyo Ghoul. And then number 5 is Nanatsu no Taizai. Yeah, Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins. So those are the top 5 here. And then for light novels, actually, it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna cover more of this because I know more of these here. Oh, these are also Oricon numbers, like standard, like Japanese sales numbers. So number 1 is Monogatari series, Shinobu Monogatari. I believe that's the newest one, right? Second is Konosuba, the newest volume. The third one is actually interesting. It's called Uchiage Hanabi, Shitakara Miruka, Yokokara Miruka. So it's, I believe the translation is roughly the rising fireworks. Should we see it from below or should we see it from the side or something like that? It's like,
Why don't you see it from above?
shut up. So apparently it's this like weird slice of life slash very like heavy romance involving like 3 dudes who are friends and then a girl that runs away with one of them or something like that. It's really weird. I think
Is she the firefly that you need to see from below or whatever?
Firework.
yeah,
Fire, yeah.
yeah, the
Is her
firework. Yeah.
name Hanabi?
God, no. If it was Hanabi, I'd be like, no, I'm not. This is not acceptable. But yeah, that's I believe it's a movie that is coming out soon. So that's also part of why it's become popular. High School DD. After that, which no comment. Isekai Shokudo, or Restaurant in the World. After that, 86. Mada no o to Vanadis. Vanadis and the Magical Obsession.
Vanadis? What? Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the king of the
It's
magic bullet in the Vanadis, right?
kind of boring.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. After that is Grimgar, which is Yojutsu, ReZero at number 10. Ryo no Oshikoto, Gamers, more Yojutsu. The interesting ones that are a niche, but I do believe they will probably get adaptations sometime in the near future or the next couple of seasons. One is like Tondemo Skill de Isekai Horo Meshi, which I believe is like something like I arrived in this world. That's yeah, uh, yeah. Regarding the display of an outrageous skill which has incredible powers. So what
Is that the
happens
one
is
about the
like
hamburger that you linked me?
the hamburger. No, that's a different one. That's like level up just by eating.
Ah,
This one is the one where it's actually pretty poorly translated in English because the guy that's fans translating it's not very good. But it's this one where he like uh the dude like has this like internet like like he can buy items or whatever from like a magical like source, and then he like encounters like Fenrir or like a legendary wolf and he just starts feeding it, and then using the wolf's powers he just becomes super OP. I think
that's
that's essentially
that
how
kind
that
of
goes.
sounds interesting.
It's okay,
We
but
can show you could feed them grade A wagyu beef,
yeah, that's actually like he feeds him like hamburgers and stuff like that. And he's like,
but
yeah,
but
the
where
wolf's
do,
like, yeah, I'll follow you. Like
but where does he get the money?
he gets a wolf to kill monsters. I think that's how he gets the money.
Well, I mean
But
that sounds kind of interesting. Like you could show them the power of instant ramen. He
but
could
yeah,
just he could tame the Demon King or Queen.
yeah. I mean, it's like somewhat interesting, but the translator for it right now is pretty bad. And then the other one where I wanted to point out was Tsuki ga Michibiku Isekai Dochu.
When's that getting an
Yes.
anime? I'm waiting for
Ah,
that anime
dude,
adaptation.
that no, it's not gonna be a good anime though. It's way too
So,
long. It's way
so
too long.
it's gonna be
Uh,
like what's the other one? The one that's coming up. The one where he has the lizard girl and the cat and dog girl.
Death March.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
it,
on the same vein as Death March.
it is definitely somewhat in the same vein as Death March. This one, in my opinion, Tsuki ga Michibiku Isekai Dochu. Again, the English name is Moonlight Journey Across Another World. Is a little bit more heavy on the sort of business and like politics side. Like him, like the dude doesn't use his powers as much because he's just like kind of sitting there and do whatever. But
He's he builds an entire village in an alternate dimension. They do like
yeah, he creates a company that he works with in the other world. But
it's like
yeah,
Spice and Wolf, except the main character.
yeah, except the main character, like whenever he gets angry, he starts like punching the shit out of people. But it is a very interesting read, and I'm kind of happy to see it kind of up here. But I think those will get adaptations soon, as well as the light novel adaptation for Anthem of the Heart, which is a Kokoro ga Sakebitaru ga Terunda. Again, the movie made by the Toradora / Anohana people recently. So yeah, those are the numbers. Obviously, not too many surprises. High School DD being number 4 was kind of depressing as fuck. So was Tokyo Ghoul number 3, but what can you do, right?
You saying you hate Tokyo Ghoul?
I don't hate Tokyo Ghoul, but I think it's pretty overrated. Like, and it's mainly being
It's
carried
too
by.
edgy for you.
It's too for adults.
Yeah, it's too adult for me, but it's mainly being carried by fangirls. So what can I say? Anyways, that was pretty much the only news we had for today. Again, we couldn't get to cover much because ANN was down, but we'll be back
It's
with
because Neer took
yeah,
A&N down with him.
yeah. He took ANN down to Canadian hell. But yeah, and with that, we are moving on to the final section, which is our shoutouts and callouts. Again, shoutouts and callouts. One shoutout and one callout from each person. Shoutout can be, praise, compliment, whatever, anything to put up high something that you liked or enjoyed, whether it's a game, thing, a concept, a period of time, something, science, math, technology, whatever, mechas, one thing, and the call out is the exact opposite. You want to talk down, flame, insult, whatever, um, any one thing, again, whether it be a person, place, thing, and you may have one shout out and one call out. And we'll start this time with Toast.
My shout out is to Nero swimsuit. She's pretty cool.
All right, what's your call out?
My call out is to double raids on DFO. That's very tedious. Instead of giving us double rewards, we get double raids on per character. So I have to, instead of spending 2 hours, I gotta spend 6 hours.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right, Dark. Shout outs and call outs, please.
My shout out's gonna be to I'm actually gonna give mine this week to PSO2 because their new, what is it?
Buster
What event? Not that. No. What event just happened for PSO2? That was like for all the news for upcoming stuff.
PSO2 station.
Okay, so yeah, PSO2 station just happened, where they talk about like the upcoming updates and stuff, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming out, including we're getting a devil trigger soon for your character. So that seems pretty awesome. Where you turn into a big demon enemy guy and you punch stuff real good. So that looks like it's gonna be a lot of
turn
fun.
into a Dio Hunar.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. So that looks cool. PSO2 recently, especially with episode 5 and like the new class, has been really just good since episode 4 started. Like I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's a much improved game over what it used to be. So shout out to that.
Hey.
Oh yeah, call out. Now my call out is going to be once again to Crunchyroll, because they decided. So I mean, I think I called them out at one point, probably, definitely, for the awful crime against humanity that was their subs for Sure Children, which I still haven't watched because I refuse to watch it with those fucking awful subs.
Stop trolling me.
Stop trolling me. Fucking Weeble stuff. Fucking Strong Bad. Yeah, where's Strong Bad? Can we get a fucking Strong Bad reference in this?
Jeez.
So yeah, fuck that. That's terrible. Like that's honestly disgusting, and I don't know how they're getting away.
You know the picture of the center no Miami, like the picture I linked to you? Is that Crunchyroll?
What picture? Oh,
You know,
the sub? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They wouldn't sub any fucking opening here.
Yeah, that's true because they're not reviews.
Yeah, there would be no text there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll double check, but that's definitely not their font at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll had the balls to have someone release an article about the complexity of dialogue in Sure Children.
I saw that tweet actually that you linked.
To which I got a decent bit of likes. Oh wait, was it that tweet or another one? I shit on them all the time now. I literally keep track of it.
Is that from your friend, that one dude?
No, it's not. It's not. Unfortunately, it would be even worse if it was from him.
Okay.
But
really seeds Naruto 69.
No, he was talking Mage Barrel.
Yeah, no, I know. I want to say
call out. Yeah, so they write a thing of the complexity of dialogue in Sure Children. And I'm just like, I guess it's so complex that you couldn't even fucking sub it properly, huh? That got
like
out of some people.
The source material itself is fine. It's just the subs are.
Yeah, the source material is great. It would have been one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show this season. Unfortunately, the subs are actually the worst subs I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's like the same situation with Chokai Sanjo no Horizon back then, Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere, and the experience I had with Hadina subs, where it's like the story in there is actually complex, but the problem is I had no idea what was going on because Hadina subs were so bad. Like
maybe you should just speak in Japanese or wait for the English dub spire. Maybe that's
translating in Japanese.
Maybe that's what Crunchyroll's been planning all this time.
Yeah, turn everybody into Japanese masters of Japanese. But I also want to quickly hop on the bandwagon before I do up my actual shoutouts and callouts and say, Dark. So we were talking about how to get actual news articles for this episode, and Dark actually suggested going through the Crunchyroll stuff, and I was like, you serious?
Yo,
But then
I threw a fucking kappa there after
Yeah.
that. Don't act like I fucking told you that. I was like,
it's his
yeah,
fault,
man,
but
go for it.
yeah, he definitely his fault. But I checked out the new sightings because like might as well give it a try, kind of. And it's like awesome bullshit. Like 80% of it is just like Crunchyroll adapt to this, Crunchyroll adapt to this thing, or like this for this. And in the middle of it's just like a review about the horror like series. I'm just like, news. Like, why are you guys just putting in whatever you guys like as news? Stop doing that. So, I'm bandwagoning on that. My actual shout outs, my shout outs go to actually the new Conclave ship is Ark Royal or whatever, right? Is that what
Wow,
it's
what do
called?
you hate
Toast?
about Arc Royal now?
No,
I
it's
just
his
said it was a
shout out, you fucking nerd.
I thought you'd call out. I thought you'd shout out like you. She's got a nice swimsuit.
No.
Not,
I'm calling.
it's not why he's calling, shouting it out.
Yeah. All right. So Toast actually linked a video very recently of Arc Royal like voice actor or whatever, and her like voice lines, right? Like they usually like have a preview video of like her voice lines and stuff like that, or somebody releases a preview video of her voice lines before like everybody kind of finds out who it is, or like she really gets into the game. Um, so I heard it, and she starts speaking English, which is like as you do, a lot of these fucking ships and like collection games start because they have girls from like other nations or whatever, and they usually start speaking English or shitty English or shitty German or shitty French or shitty whatever fucking Western language they want to talk about, right? Um, and I heard her English, and I was just like, I was about to brace for impact. I was like, the first like syllable, I was like, like I was literally just like scratching my head. I was like, this is gonna be bad. And then I heard it, and it's actually good. Man, is this same? Do you know
It's
if
the
it's the same
same
voice
voice actor as War Spitfire.
Is
I
is
told
it?
you guys before, but the way she says admiral is the old timey way of saying admiral. So and because
But Warspite didn't sound as good as Ark Royal, from what I heard. Or did I just not hear enough lines
you're
from
not hearing
Warspite?
enough lines. She sounds exact same to me.
Okay, I might need to hear more lines from Warspite,
Because
but
Arc
Warspite
Royal is
never.
supposed to be the first modern like the first modern carrier, so she's gonna say admiral correctly.
Yeah.
That's why she's
I
got
thought I
that
thought she
sweet
was just like
compound bow.
doing some fucked up shit, but when I
No,
heard like Ark Royal's like English, like the voice actor doing English, I was like, what? Wait, who's the voice actor? I forgot.
it's some ex. I think it's some Australian girl. I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, but like I mean, like I just heard it and like she speaks like standard Japanese pretty easily, and I heard her English. I was just like, this is actually the best like voice actor that's done like both languages at the same time. Like zero questions, zero questions. This is the first time where
Ushida Shu.
oh okay. Is she originally from Australia or something like that?
I think
Is that what you were talking about?
so.
But yeah, I like heard it. I was like this just fucking blows my mind. Like if Japanese people can do this kind of shit, like there should be zero reason that fucking voice actors in the UK or the US or whatever, which by the way get better base wages than most Japanese voice actors, should not be able to do like basic Japanese words. You know what I mean?
Come,
Yeah,
it's a,
Kamoto or whatever.
it's a, it's a comment.
Yeah, like
Sakamoto.
yeah, there should be zero reason for them to mess up anything.
Yeah, but
So
you see, they got that from the director himself. He sent it over and it said Sakamoto.
yeah, that's true. I apologize. It was the director's thing. Oh my god,
It's all
like
his fault. It's not their job to know how to say the word. It's their
yeah,
job
that
to
is
say them.
true. I apologize. But yeah, I heard that and I was very, very, very impressed. And I don't usually say that about like these like which I usually like it's like no, this is garbage. But like I was very impressed with that. So shout outs to her. Um Call outs on the other hand to the people who some like certain translators for these web novels, light novels. And I don't usually like to insult these people because it's like obviously they're doing it for the they're doing it for the fans. They're usually doing it for free. A lot of them have like Patreons and shit nowadays, but it's like at the end of the day, they are doing like community work, so it's like whatever. But some of them, like a lot more of them, are doing like the bottom sort of half are kind of doing are just kind of doing point blank like direct just feeding it into Google Translate, vomiting back out and just pasting on their blog. I really don't appreciate that. Like especially like I can start reading like these novels by myself if I really want to, because I have enough of a sense of like kanji and like basic words and the grammar structure, and I kind of go through it. But it's like obviously I prefer to read like not spend too much effort and like read some stuff that I'm not as interested in just English, right? But it's like when, for instance, like another series gets like revitalized or gets resurrected, and the person that's translating it anew is like some fucking garbage person who just vomits the Japanese text into Google Translate and just puts it back out with the goddamn poorest English that like it's not even English at that point. It was just like I don't even know what to say. It's so bad how it is. Like I'm just looking at it. I'm just like I don't even know what this sentence is saying. This sentence literally has like 5 words in it. I should be able to understand. I should be able to create some permutation of words and maybe include like conjunctions or whatever in between to create some sensible sentence. I have no idea what it's talking about. I have zero clue, and I'm just like, this is like garbage. Like I don't care about like schedule or whatever. And I'm not like one of those guys who are like make it faster, do it, whatever. Like, but like if you guys are going to do it, like if you guys are going to release a product and it is a product, um, like do it right, guys. Don't be like, yeah, this is just I think I have like decent like about average English grammar, and they're just like fucking just shit out something that wouldn't like I wouldn't even look at. Like if it was like an SAT essay or like sample essay or something like that, or like some person's like practice essay or something like that, I'd be like, no, you not only failed this SAT, you also fail high school. Like go back. Like they would be at that point. Like, it was terrible. So call it those motherfuckers who just make it so hard for me to like it's bad. But yeah. That was my shoutouts and callouts. But I guess with that, we are done with this segment. And again, thank you, Dark and Toast, for holding up the fort while Neer is out in Canadian Disneyland, apparently. And for now, again, this is the end of the episode. There are still plenty more shows to go through, so we'll be going through those, uh, in the next 1 or 2 episodes before we start hitting the fall preview stuff. And with that, again, if you like what we do, we stream this. We stream our episodes every other Saturday, starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast with a number 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest in manga, anime, web novels, light novels, visual novels, etc., 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 all sorts of Japanese animation media. And we sometimes stream games, sometimes stream, visual novels, playthroughs, other stuff. So check those out here. If you like what we do, please follow us here. Follow us on our social media, on our Facebook and Twitter. Facebook for Animecast, Twitter handle at 4PPAnimecast, all with the number 4, as well as on our YouTube channel, where we also upload the VODs of our streams. We also have our own site at 4PlayAnimecast.moe, where we put up all our content, whether it's in Twitch format, YouTube format, or MP3 format, so you can kind of listen to our podcast as we go. And we have our MP3, of course, uploaded upon the popular podcast sites such as iTunes and Google Play Music, so you can check us out there. Anyways, so check us out there, check us out here, and as always, see you next time. Okay.
Man, Vatican silly.
Yeah, Vatican's